My painting companies grew from $16 million in 2023 to almost $24 million in 2024. We've been growing 30 to 50% per year over year for many years now. We have really healthy growth for a company of this size. And I work with hundreds of painting contractors through Painting Business Pro. And one of the most important things that I do with the people I work with is strategic planning, making sure that the people we work with have clear next steps for what do I need to do in my business that's going to move the needle the most? What's going to grow my business the most, the fastest, the healthiest? And then we give them all the tools, coaching, and resources to execute on that. And that's how we have so many of our members grow their business to 7 figures really quickly, with many of them getting into the multiple 7 figures over a short period of time. So in this video, I'm gonna go through the steps to creating your strategic plan so that you can make a clear game plan for the next quarter, the next 6 months, the next year, for what are the most important things for you to do to grow and scale your business in a fast and healthy way. There's 3 things that we're gonna look at. Number 1, we're gonna talk about the principles to plan by. There's just a few of them, but they're super important to understand. Number 2, we're gonna look at the critical business problems to solve. There's not that many problems you need to solve in your business to go from 0 to $3 million a year. There's only a handful, and you need to know what they are so you can know which one to do next, which is number 3. We're gonna look at how to sequence solving those problems so that you can identify where you are and what's the most important thing for you to focus on next. Let's jump in. So there's 4 principles that we want to look at when you're building your strategic plan. The first one is the theory of constraints. So you can Google this. There is a book written, I can't pronounce the author's name. He wrote the theory of constraints, and he wrote a book called The Goal. So the theory of constraints basically says this. So we say, hey, we've got this business here, and then there's this little bottleneck, and then it goes like this again. So this is the constraint. So we have all this marketing coming through, but we've got this really inefficient sales system. So that's actually the constraint on the business. We could handle more work when we produce the work, and we've got all these leads, but we're really inefficient in this part of the business. If we could fix the sales, then more throughput would happen. So there's always one constraint in the business. It might be that you have marketing. You know, you're really good at sales and you can handle a lot more production, but right now marketing is the problem. So we're gonna expand marketing and we get more throughput. So at any time in your business, there is one part of your business that is constraining the overall growth of the whole business, and focusing on fixing and solving the constraint is what will actually grow the business. The next principle here is the one thing. So this is actually the title of a book written by Gary Keller, who's the founder of Keller Williams Realty. And the big idea is there's only one thing that can ever be the most valuable thing for you to put your attention on in your business. There might be 100 ideas that you have, but there's only one that is the most important one, and you can get outsized returns by allocating all of your effort to that one thing rather than spreading your effort across a bunch of things. The next principle here is asymmetric warfare. This is a term that I got from the Flow Research Collective and Steven Kotler. They do a lot of research on flow state and peak performance. Flow is an optimal state of consciousness where we feel our best and perform our best. And some of the studies that have been done on flow show enormous increases in performance. McKinsey did a study showing a 500% increase in performance with executives who regularly access flow. So flow is the real deal. And they speak about asymmetric warfare. It's basically the same principle here, but I just want to put it up here because it's just so important. All of these things are talking about the same thing, that there is one thing that you should be focused on at a time in your business to grow the business. And then once you're clear about what is that next one thing, what is that next greatest constraint in your business, then you ignore all the other noise. You literally ignore everything else. The way that I do that is I just write it down for later. So I know what I'm working on for the next quarter, but I still get all the ideas just like you do. I see the ads, I see the shiny objects, I see all the things I want to do, and I just write them down to revisit at the end of the quarter because I already know what I'm doing this quarter. At the end of the quarter, I'm gonna look at what's the most important next thing for my next quarter. I'm gonna look at my giant list of all the ideas and see if any of them fit into the next quarter, and if they don't, they get pushed. All right, so you've got to ignore the noise and focus on your one thing. So now let's look at part 2. All right, so here's some of your biggest problems that we need to look at. So we're gonna go through how you know it's a problem. So 1 is you got profit margins. 2, you need more leads. So your profit margins aren't good enough. Where should they be? They should be at 50%. All right, so 50% is the target there. That means 50% goes to labor and materials. 50% is left over for marketing and overhead. You need more leads. That's marketing. So just do you have enough estimates? Sales efficiency, which is sales. You're still painting. That would be a project management issue. I can't recruit and find good help. which also goes here. I can't find good help. That's project management issue. Or my numbers. So you need to know your business numbers, your marketing and sales numbers week in and week out, your production numbers week in and week out, your profitability per job, your monthly, financials. But you also need to have your CRM dialed in. So you have all your customer data. So this is numbers and like the foundation. And then we get into phase 2. You've got to get all these things here complete before you start hiring people. And if you've already started hiring people, like sales reps, or estimators, project managers, or office, if you've already hired these people and these numbers aren't healthy, stop everything, get all these numbers healthy, and then go back to focusing on building the team. If you haven't started to build the team yet, then you need to solve these problems first. These are the most critical problems to solve in your business before you build a team. Once these are all solved, then the biggest problem is going to be, I need help. And now we're going to solve help with more team members, and then we can put more throughput through with marketing. All right, so your profit margin should be at 50%. Almost universally, people aren't at 50%. With almost everyone I work with, they're usually at paying out 55 to 65%, sometimes even 70% to labor and materials, which is brutal. You can't scale your business doing that. You're just not going to be able to. You're not going to have the margins. Once you get to growing the business later, you need to have enough money to pay sales reps, you need enough money to pay project managers, you need enough money to pay for marketing, you need enough money to pay for your office manager, and you need enough money to pay for other overhead costs like accounting, CRM, software, coaching, whatever else you might have in there, vehicles, things like that. And if you aren't at 50%, you can't afford all those things and still make a profit. Or if you are still making a profit, it's an itty bitty profit, which doesn't make it worth it. Nobody wants to run a $2 million business and make $80,000 in profit, but people do it. So we got to get this to 50%. That's super critical. The next thing is we need more leads. So if people are doing good here and here, but you just don't have any estimates, like estimates is a huge issue. So before you have a team, you should be able to do like 6 to 8 estimates per week before you hire a team, week in and week out. Sales efficiency refers to how many leads I get turn into a sale. So it's a lead, and then it's an estimate, and then it's a sale. And so a lot of people, they get leads, but they don't follow up with them enough. So not enough of them turn into estimates. And then they do their estimates, but they don't sell enough of them. So you just have lack of sales efficiency. So what we really want here in the early stages is probably about a 70% lead conversion, and we want a 50% sales ratio with healthy profit margins. And then you need to be able to find good people. So you need to be able to manage your projects without babysitting. That's a problem to solve. So that's when we say project management. That includes both customer communication and subcontractor communication or employee communication. Basically, like your project management system is, how do I coordinate and manage everything on customer side? How do I manage and coordinate everything on the labor side? And I need to be able to do that in a way that's really highly efficient, where we deliver high quality work without me constantly babysitting. So we need to solve that. Otherwise, if we don't solve that, we just have too much inefficiency in our business to be able to scale. And then you need to know your numbers to scale in a healthy way. And then we start hiring people. All right, so these are going to be the main things that you're going to want to plan to solve. So now we want to look at the sequencing. And this is going to be just my suggestions based on where you're at. So most people watching this video, you're here, right? So this is businesses doing usually like under probably 600,000 a year. That's probably here. And then there's some businesses doing over. So if you're doing over 500, 600,000 a year and you've already got a team, you still want to look at these and be like, hey, is our margin at 50%? Do we get all the estimates we need right now? Is our sales efficiency strong enough? We just brought on a new partner in our company recently. And in the last 10 weeks, we took their sales performance. This was a $3 million business. They were selling at 35%. 35% of their estimates they closed in 10 weeks. Now they're closing 62% of their estimates. So that alone grew the business from like 3 million to 4.5 to 5 million, with just like that one improvement in sales. So don't underestimate the importance of improving all these. And do you have efficient project management? So you want to look at that if you're a big company. If you're a small company, we need to get these things cleaned up. All right, so now if we're talking about sequencing, most people aren't at this 50% profit margin. So if that's you, the easiest way for you to grow and improve your business is fix your profit margin, because all you need to do here, so that'll be your number one thing, is set up your estimating system and set it up for 50% profit. So take what you're doing now and raise your price enough so that now you're making 50% profit. You're not going to pay people less money. We've got to pay people what we need to pay people, because that's market rate. You increase your price to make the proper profit margin. So usually what you need to do with this focus is you also need to improve your sales. There's a lot of ways to improve your sales. You can watch free videos on YouTube. You can go to a sales conference. You can hire a sales coach. You can hire a coaching company. You can come work with Painting Business Pro. There's a ton of different ways that you can improve your sales, but you need to do these two things. That's going to be the very first thing you do. And when you improve your sales and raise your price, you can win just as many projects. Nothing else had to change in your business, but you add a ton of money to your bottom line, which allows you to start spending more money on marketing, which is going to further grow the business. All right, so that's what you're going to do if it's profit. So you got to increase your profit, improve sales, and that's going to do it. Once you've done that, or if you already have this, then you go straight to this. Once you have this, you go straight to this. So then we need to make the next decision on what's the next thing that you need to do to grow the business. Well, if you're only doing 3 to 4 estimates a week, then that's the constraint of the business. You just need more estimates. So that would be go focus on marketing. Because if you're doing 3 to 4 estimates a week, if you can get that to 6 to 8, you double your business. That's a big deal. If you're already doing over 6 estimates a week, then the biggest leverage point for you is probably going to be improved sales. The goal here is to get to 6 to 8 estimates a week with a 50% sales rate. Once you have that, so now we're at 50% profit, we got 6 to 8 estimates a week, and we've got a 50% sales rate, then the next focus is project management. How do we deliver on these projects with awesome crews who do an awesome job with minimal touch points? Once you've got that done, where do we go next? Well, we got estimating down, we got marketing down, sales down, we got project management down. Now we're down to the numbers. All right, so that's going to be the next focus. You're going to get your numbers and your foundation of your CRM set up. So your numbers are so that you know your numbers inside and out. You've got, your leads every week, your estimates every week, your jobs sold every week against what you've projected. You've got your production every week. You've got your job cost cards. You've got your financials monthly. So we know your numbers inside and out on the business. But we also want to set up a CRM, a way of tracking customer data from when they're a lead to an estimate to a job sold to their in the whole production funnel, getting the job ready, in progress, completed, invoice, paid. And then probably a back-end communication sequence to keep in touch with all those customers, right? So once we get all of that done, then we're ready to hire a team. And that's what moves us into phase 2. Phase 2 is where then we're gonna hire a project manager. Once you hire and train your project manager, then you hire a sales rep, and then you increase marketing. Then you hire an office manager, then repeat, project manager, sales rep, increase marketing. And that's literally the path to getting to $2.5 million a year. So almost universally, working with all the people that I work with, I don't think I've ever had someone start working with us who had all these boxes checked. There are people who come in and work with us who have teams, but their teams are operating inefficiently. So once we clean this up, the business grows and adds a lot of money to the bottom line by just cleaning up margin, sales rate, sales efficiency, getting more leads for the existing team, cleaning up the numbers in the CRM, tightening up the whole business. That's a better path. So that should give you what you need to start to focus on what do I need to do next year to grow my business the fastest. So if we go back to the beginning of the video, we said, hey, there's theory of constraints. There's one primary constraint in the business. This kind of outlines the general sequence that most people should follow. Once you have that, ignore all the noise and focus on this one thing. So it might take you an entire quarter to get this down. And then it might take you 2 quarters to get your marketing up. It might take you another 2 quarters to get sales, but that's 15 months. It's a little over a year, and you will easily more than double your business by focusing on those 3 things. So real business growth, massively scaling the business and adding more profit is not about doing tons and tons of things. It's about doing a few things really, really well. So that giant list of ideas that you have and all the shiny objects, the question you ask yourself is, does this thing that I want to do fit inside the next focus I have? If not, then drop it in here, and when you get to marketing, you can try it then. When marketing is the problem, implement marketing. If marketing is not the problem, ignore marketing. If sales is the problem, work on sales. If sales is not the problem, don't work on sales stuff. So you want to stay focused, ignore the noise, and this will help you grow your company absolutely gangbusters by applying these principles and taking it one step at a time.